The one thing that we're going to learn here today is a new discovery, and it's kind of exciting actually, because what I found is 180 degrees opposite of what's always been thought of in the past as the way to create these different colors such as black and grays into the engravings. And that is by using wider geometries. I can actually cut a blacker color with 110 degree than I can with an 80 or even a 70. And I know that sounds incredible, but you'll actually be able to see this as I do it on the video. What makes this possible is a new material, called C-Max. It's a tungsten carbide that really holds up well with a very sharp edge and doesn't break. It's necessary to get this result only if you have a graver that's super sharp and super polished. What I'm going to do for you now is I'm going to cut several lines close together and do small sections of each of 5 different geometries to show you what happens as we change the geometry of this graver. The first graver geometry I'm going to use is what's generally the workhorse of Bulino engraving, which is an 80-degree geometry. So in other words, the bottom, as you saw in the sharpening, is done at 80 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. Now this is really good practice for you to do, just cutting nice straight parallel lines, leaving no spaces. This is a great thing for you to practice so that when you get ready to actually do some of the techniques, you'll be better prepared, because you need to have good control. The cuts aren't difficult because they're all straight line cuts, but you have to be proficient at cutting. And you have to be able to control the spacing of your cutting as well as the depth, so everything is nice and even. Sometimes you have to cut a little bit heavier, sometimes a little bit lighter, and also different depths. Another thing is you have to learn to break that chip off well at the end. Sometimes you'll see them sticking up, but you'll see that they pop right off most of the time. Okay, now the next geometry I'm going to use is the 90 degree, which is a little bit wider. And after I get the first couple lines cut here, I think you'll be able to see what's happening. As you can see, as this geometry becomes a little bit wider, the line color actually becomes darker. Okay, so as you can see, we didn't use any kind of magic angles or anything here. Turn it to the light a little bit so you can see it a little more pronounced. And let me zoom in. And you can see the gradation of colors, starting with the 80 degree, which is the first one, 90, 100, 105, 110. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to wipe this with some acetone, just so you can be assured that there's nothing there. And as that evaporates, you'll be able to see the color. So nothing has changed.